What's up guys, my name is Jack and welcome to another episode of Nostalgia Unknown. This is a series I started to see if classic games are really as good as people say they are, but I've never played the games, so I'm not looking through the nostalgia glasses. If you want to learn more about the series, there's a link to the info video in the description. So here we are with the first licensed game in this video series, DuckTales. Quick disclaimer, since a lot of the music in this game is licensed, I'm going to be using different music in the video. With that, let's get started. DuckTales was developed and published by Capcom, and was released in 1989. This game is based on the popular Disney animated cartoon of the same name. The game was made by key developers of the Mega Man franchise, and was critically acclaimed, becoming Capcom's best-selling NES game. Praised for its presentation, tight control, and non-linear gameplay, this game has made its way to numerous best-of lists. So, let's see how it holds up then, shall we? So, a slight disclaimer here is that I've never seen the DuckTales show, so I don't know how well the controls fit in context to the show. On its own, the controls are fairly competent. Aside from standard running and jumping, you have an extremely tight, almost one-to-one air control movement, making landing on small platforms easy. You can also use the pogo stick, which is arguably the game's main mechanic. This allows you to bounce on enemies, open chests, and traverse terrain that would normally hurt you, like spikes. I'm keeping this section short because I want to touch on some of these aspects later. Let's continue. The first thing I want to say right away, the music is great. It's catchy, upbeat, and fitting for the different levels. Even though this game is short and you find yourself only playing the same 5 levels, I never really got sick of the music. And of course, obligatory, oh man, that song from the Moon stage though. It's good music. I also wanted to take a quick step back to that tight air control I mentioned earlier. That one-to-one air control is something that I love and makes platformer games so much better to me. It makes me feel like I'm in control and mistakes I make are my own. Unfortunately, that doesn't really stay consistent with some of the other controls. Okay, so I have a bit to go over here. Let's start with the pogo stick, specifically deploying it before you've started using it. Deploying the pogo stick can be really finicky, and sometimes can lead to seemingly unfair damage or deaths. The one thing I don't like is that, so you have to hold, when you first start up your bounce, you have to hold down and the fucking button. Like, when you hold down and B, you bounce. Like, you hold the pogo stick out, and then once you're bouncing, you can just hold B. But when you're on your way down, if you let go of down, but not B, the pogo stick does not stay out. So if I let go of down, I don't jump, I land on the ground. So then if I'm trying to set up a bounce, and I don't hold down, I die. Or I get hit. It just made the game feel frustrating in a lot of places, and it didn't need that because it already had places that caused frustration. Enter the Amazon. The supposed first level of the game, seemingly indicated by its position on the level select, is unforgiving and annoying. It features one-block jumps, bottomless insta-death pits, annoying enemies, and sections that do not do well at easing the player into the mechanics, in my opinion. Examples I can give of this are a section where you must continuously bounce on spikes, but at one point retract and then quickly redeploy your pogo stick to evade ceiling spikes, as well as a block jumping area above a death pit with a bee that will try to knock you into said death pit. More on the bees in a minute. The whole level came together to form an extremely frustrating experience right from the start. I personally think Transylvania would have made a much better starting level. This leads somewhat into my next point. The whole game felt like it was forcing you into trial and error by making you do things that you don't know how to do, leading to unnecessary damage or deaths. Once you figure out how to beat a level, it's easy, but the process of learning that was a huge exercise in frustration. Oh, and let's talk about the bees. These bees move in the perfect annoying snaking pattern across the middle of the screen. They hit you and you get bumped, either into a pit, another enemy, or whatever is near you to cause you trouble. If you have a fear of bees, this game will not help that. The points made here somewhat reflect what has already been said. One thing I can talk about is the length. The game is very short, featuring only 5 levels. Your final run through the game will probably only take you about 15 minutes. This is where the whole idea of forced trial and error starts to get to me. When you have a short game that forces trial and error, to me that feels like they're trying to pad the length of the game. People claim a plus of this game is its non-linearity, but if you're trying to beat the game, once you figure out the way through the level, you'll just do it that way every time. Added on to this is that the bosses sometimes felt inconsistent in their behavior, specifically the Moon boss and the Transylvania boss. The reason I say this is that when we're talking about forced trial and error and having to redo sections you've already done, you want a consistent way through the levels you've already beaten. But sometimes the bosses seem to behave differently, and when you die on those bosses you know and have beaten many times, it causes huge frustration, for me at least. Well, I think it's clear that this game didn't leave a great impression on me. In my opinion, this might be one of the more nostalgia-clouded titles that I'll do in this series. I don't know if people really liked the show that much, or didn't have the issues I did, or what, but this game was really frustrating for me. If you're a fan of DuckTales, maybe check it out, but if you're not, I wouldn't bother. It was really interesting to run into a game that people seem to remember so fondly, and I just really didn't enjoy it. Well, they can't all be gems, I guess. So, this has been DuckTales. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the video in the comment section. If you want to join me on my live stream where I play through these games to review, you can find me at twitch.tv/losermanwins, and there'll be a link in the description for that as well. So that's all, guys. I guess we'll have to see next time if the Blue Bomber can redeem Capcom for me.